So, are you ready to level up? To go from just using Puppet to actually proving you've mastered infrastructure automation? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we are unpacking the entire blueprint for absolutely acing the Puppet Certified Professional exam. We're going to cover everything you need to know to prepare with confidence and hopefully pass on your very first try.
Here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the why. Why this certification is such a game changer for your career. Then, we'll dive into the what, the nitty-gritty logistics of the exam and exactly what topics you'll be tested on. After that, we'll map out a solid 6-week study plan to get you totally prepared. And finally, we'll talk about how to turn that shiny new certification into a real career win.
Okay, let's kick things off with the big question. Why should you even bother getting Puppet certified? Look, it's all about proving you have the practical, hands-on skills that companies are desperate for right now. This goes way beyond just textbook theory. And let's be clear, this isn't some trivia contest where you memorize a bunch of obscure commands. Think of this exam as a fitness test for your real-world automation chops. It's designed to validate that you can actually deploy, configure, and manage infrastructure at scale, just like you would on the job.
So here's what it all boils down to. This certification is a powerful signal to employers that you have the specific skills they need. It shows you're fluent in core tools like Hiara and PuppetDB. And you know what? When you pair that certification with a portfolio of your own work, like a control repo, you become an incredibly compelling candidate. It's the whole package. All right, so we know why it's valuable. Now let's dig into the nuts and bolts. What does the exam actually look like? Understanding these logistics is absolutely key to building a smart study plan that works. Let's break this down. You're looking at 60 multiple-choice questions, and you've got 90 minutes to do them. That's about 1.5 minutes per question, so you gotta be on your toes. It's all done online with a remote proctor, and, this is important, it's closed book. No notes, no internet, no Googling for answers. But the upside? You get your score immediately, no waiting around.
And what about the investment? Well, the exam costs $200 for each attempt. And yeah, that's a key detail to keep in mind because every single retake will set you back another $200. So the goal here for sure is to put in the work and nail it on the first try. Okay, listen up because this is a super important tip. At your job, you might be running the latest and greatest version of Puppet Enterprise. That's great, but for the test, you have to study for the specific versions listed. Stick to Open Source Puppet 8.9 and PE 2023-8. You don't want to get blindsided on test day by some feature that works differently than you're used to.
So we know the format, we know the cost, we know the versions, but what are they actually going to ask you about? Let's break down the official exam blueprint so you know exactly where to focus your energy.
The exam is split into 5 main areas, or domains. I like to think of these as your 5 big study sprints. You've got module authoring, Hiara for separating your code from your data, classification concepts, orchestration and deployment, and of course, good old troubleshooting. Every single one is a critical piece of the puzzle. And if you remember one thing about how to study, let it be this. You have to get your hands dirty. Seriously, this is not about just reading the docs. The absolute best way to prepare is to turn each of these domains into practical, hands-on lab work. It's simple. If you can build it, you'll be able to answer questions about it. Okay, that sounds like a lot, right? So how do you actually fit all of this into a busy schedule? Don't worry, we're not just going to leave you hanging. Let's lay out a manageable, week-by-week study plan that's designed for people who actually have a job.
Check out how this 6-week plan breaks everything down into these doable weekly chunks. See how we're starting with the fundamentals in week 1, the language, the core concepts? Then we build on that with Hiara and modules. It's all about layering on the knowledge. So by the time you get to PuppetDB and Bolt, you've built this really solid foundation. And that last week is all about review and practice exams, so everything's fresh when you sit down for the real thing.
All right, let's fast forward. You put in the work, you took the test, and you passed. Congratulations! But passing is just step 1. Now, let's talk about how to make that new certification really work for you and your career.
This right here, this is so important. There's this myth that you can just memorize a bunch of commands and you'll be fine. Nope, not at all. This exam tests how you think and operate within the Puppet ecosystem. It's about problem solving, not trivia. Hands-on practice always, always wins. Okay, as soon as you get that digital badge, you need to put it on blast. Get out on your LinkedIn, update your resume, obviously, but here's the real pro move.
Link that badge to actual tangible proof of your skills. Link to your control repository or a portfolio of your best work. Show, don't just tell. That's what really opens doors with hiring managers.
And hey, one last piece of practical advice. Let's talk about the retake policy. Just in case things don't go perfectly on the first try, which happens. If you need a do-over, you have to wait 14 days. If you need a third attempt, it's a 90-day wait. Just knowing these rules helps you plan your strategy.
So there you have it. We've literally walked through the entire roadmap, from why you should get certified to exactly what's on the test, how to study for it, and what to do after you pass. The blueprint is here. The only question left is, what will you build with it?